How good would it be to finally be able to distinguish between the words shock and sock? This video tutorial is designed to help you learn to tell the difference between the S and SH sounds, or S and sh, and also effective techniques to learn to produce the difference clearly. From my past experience with students, this tutorial will be especially helpful for Spanish and Greek speakers, but of course, non-native speakers of English of other countries will also benefit. So all this coming right up. Hey guys, my name is Nicholas Gauchi. This channel is all about helping second language speakers of English soften their accent so that you can be the uninhibited, confident you in the English speaking world that you're living and working in. Okay, so first of all, it's important to know why these two sounds are often confused with each other. This is because their points of articulation, or in other words, where those two sounds are created in the mouth, are rather close to each other. So unless these two sounds actually exist in the speaker's native tongue, then they can be very easily confused. Okay, so let's start with the S sound. As you can see, the S or S sound is described as alveolar. And that's because the point of articulation happens between the tip of the tongue, or the blade just behind, and this hard bit of tissue here called the alveolar ridge, which is found just behind the upper teeth. So when air is squeezed from the lungs through this tight space, that's what creates the S sound, the alveolar S sound, or S. You'll notice that there's also the Z symbol, or Z. Z is just a voiced version of S, but we'll do voiced consonants in another video. So for the SH or sh sound, as you can see, the title this time is post-alveolar, and that's basically because the point of articulation is slightly further inside the mouth or the oral cavity, and the tongue has retracted inwards now slightly. The tip of the tongue is facing downwards, and it's rather the blade that's in contact with this area here just behind the alveolar ridge. Hence the name post-alveolar. Now the point of articulation or area of articulation for an SH sound is somewhat more diffuse as compared to the S. That's why the S in a way thus can be described as a sharper sound. So yeah, so SH is more diffuse. Nevertheless, the air comes from the lungs and squeezes through this relatively tight space, creating that sh sound. And once again, there's a second symbol, and once again, that's the voiced version of the first. So the first is sh, whilst the second is zh. Now, zh can be found in English normally in the middle or ends of words, and examples are vision or garage. But once again, voiced consonants will be dealt with in another video. Now, to help you with the articulation of the SH sound, some slight lip rounding forces the cheeks to squeeze in on the tongue and helping it to assume the right position. So some slight lip rounding when you're producing sh will help you make it more distinct from S or S. In a minute, I'll show you a cool little animation sequence highlighting how the two sounds are created. So in a few seconds, you'll see the soft palate shut, so that air passes through the oral cavity while you're producing the sounds. So I'll play it for you. Alveolar ridge, soft palate shutting, and that's S. And next up is sh. So there you have it. That's basically the difference between S and SH. A lot of people may think that the only way to work on your accent is to learn to listen out for the sounds and copy them. But it's also important to feel them. This is so that your brain can register the sounds in its muscle memory. As is the case with perfecting any skill, this is why repetition is so important. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick articulation exercise that will really help your brain to feel the difference between the sounds. And as a result, you'll learn to hear the difference too. Starting with our S sound, or S, place the tip of the tongue just behind the teeth on the alveolar ridge right here. If you start off with a st as in stop, that should help you get that sharper quality of sound that is typical of S. So, st, st, then s. And then when you're finally confident with the quality of sound that you're producing, go into sa, asa, as, sa, asa, as. So for the sh sound, or sh, the tip of the tongue basically bends downwards, like so. Sh, sh, so that it's the part just behind the tip that is in contact with the roof of the mouth. S versus sh, s, sh. And remember, if you curl or round your lips outwards, like when you're telling a child to be quiet, shh, that will really help you to get the right quality of sound. Okay, so once you're confident with your sh, again, go into sha, asha, ash, sha, asha, ash. Once you're feeling confident with the two positions, switch between them. S, sh, s, sh, s, sh. This is the point where you apply your practice into words. Try switching between minimal pairs. For those who aren't aware, minimal pairs are basically two words that are the same in pronunciation except for one sound. Like, for example, shock and sock. Other minimal pairs. See, she. Seat, sheet. Sip, ship. Sell, shell. Sack, shack. Sue, shoe. Saw, shore. Save, shave. Sigh, shy. Sew, show. Sour, shower. Sear, shear. Also, fist, fished. Mess, mesh. Gas, gash. Rust, rushed. Crust, crushed. So there you have it, peeps. Remember, a little bit of practice every day for 5, maybe 10 minutes is much more effective than trying to master something all in one day. I suggest starting with the articulation exercises outlined in this video and then moving on to the minimal pairs. And why not conclude this practice session with my very own SSH tongue twister? Now, don't beat yourself up if you can't get it right straight away. Remember, patience and repetition is crucial. Better to start slowly first, getting each sound and word out just right, than rushing through the sentence making several mistakes. Okay, so here it is. Sasha was on the sand by the sea when she suddenly slipped and dropped her sushi into her shoes. Sasha was on the sand by the sea when she suddenly slipped and dropped her sushi into her shoes. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and feel free to leave any comments down below, including any suggestions you may have for future videos you'd like me to make. And if you want to be notified every time I upload new content, just hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys again soon.